Hello to you. Welcome to the pre-ride instruction and safety information video where we will break down for you how we get everyone on the same page and how we ride as one to keep everyone as safe as possible while still having a very enjoyable experience. If you are a new member of the Columbia, Maryland Riders Group, their sibling group, Women on 2 and 3, or a first-time tour client with the Ride as One motorcycle tours company, this is for you. If you happen to be none of the above, but you find this information helpful and would like to adopt the Ride as One way of riding with your friends, please do. Share this information.
This is Andres, organizer, ride leader, and road captain.
I welcome you to climb on board the motobus with me, and let's go and have some safe and enjoyable riding time.
Road ID, Life ID.
Safety is always a priority, so the first thing we're always going to ask before each ride is, do you have your road ID? Keep in mind, we are not sponsored, nor do we have a relationship with Road ID, but the product just works. They have several different bands and styles and different types you can get, but we ask that you please get one and wear it every time you ride.
Typically, there is a start and an end time posted on the ride information. This will give you a means to calculate the total duration expected for that event. Please keep in mind that delays happen. Traffic, slow restaurant service, mechanical problem, etc. Please try to avoid having other commitments right afterwards just in case.
We also recommend that you get an Easy Pass and have that with you as well for each ride. There are several different places on your bike where you can mount them or holders that you can get, but the most important thing is that your bike is registered to your Easy Pass account.
This is a group ride. If you like to do your own thing, when and how you want, that's awesome. We applaud you for that and think that you should do that. But it's not this. The whole point of Meetup is to get together with others to participate in events of mutual interest. Please plan to engage with the group for the event.
Double-check event info.
On the morning of a ride, the last thing you should do before you leave your house is to double-check the information for the event. So please go to the Meetup site, double-check the start location and the time.
You'll also want to make sure that the ride is actually still going out. Things such as illness, weather changes, or the minimum requirement number dropping below where it needs to be for that ride to go can cause a ride to be canceled at the last minute. So, you should definitely double-check to make sure that nothing has changed before you leave home, making sure that you refresh your browser. Checking the comments is also a good idea as well in case there are any last-minute notes of adjustments. This is why we ask riders not to cancel at the last minute unless you absolutely have to, because it affects other riders and whether they can actually go on some rides as well. So, be considerate please of the other members of the group. Like safety check.
You've heard it before, but yes, it is really important for your safety as well as the others you will be riding with that you do your T-clock check and make sure that your bike is ready to be on the road with others. I find that it's best to just get it done the night before if you can. So that way, you're not rushed in the morning when you're trying to make it to the start on time and you're worried about getting your T-clocks done, or you just skip it. Not a good idea. Just make sure that when you check your tire pressure, that your tires are cold for an accurate reading.
Safety is always first. You are the only one controlling your motorcycle, so you are responsible for you. You are to do whatever you feel is necessary at any time to keep yourself safe. Our group riding rules and structure is designed to keep the riding unit as safe as possible. But if you experience something individually and you need to do something different for your personal safety, and the group rules have indicated, do that.
Don't get hangry.
We usually have a food or snack stop at some point during all of our rides, but it could be several hours before we actually get to that point. So it's really a good idea that you have a good breakfast before you come for a ride, if you can do that, or at least travel with some snacks. Most riders find it beneficial to always have a stash of non-perishable snacks on their bike at all times anyway. This way, whenever the feeling hits you, you'll have a little something to get you going again, to keep your sugar up and to keep you recharged so that you don't get into hangry mode.
Riding times.
We typically stick to 90 minutes or 100-mile riding segments max, whichever comes first. Rest stops and gas stops are already built into the routes, so you should find no need to even ask about them. Usually, as soon as you think to inquire, we're pulling in somewhere for that purpose.
Fill your tank. You don't need to arrive at the start point with a full tank of gas. In fact, we prefer that you don't arrive with a full tank of gas because we want you to fill up at the start point. All of our start points will be somewhere where fuel is available. This way, we know that every rider has on topped-off tank from the actual start of the ride. Subsequent gas stops will have already been built into the route and are based on everyone having a full tank of gas from the start.
The times posted on the website are our arrival times to the start, not our kickstands up time. We always plan to leave as soon as possible after our arrival and as soon as the pre-ride meeting is complete, so please be there early to take care of your fuel needs and anything else beforehand. Once you have fueled up, the next thing you want to do is go park your bike next to the others, then head inside to use the bathroom and purchase anything you may need.
Variety of riders.
Please remember that, as a meetup group, riders may have different abilities, bikes, experiences, riding styles, and preferences. The rides will be run with that in mind. Please be patient and understanding with others.
Protective gear is required.
We require that you wear proper motorcycle protective gear. The minimum required is a DOT helmet, gloves, and boots. We would prefer that a jacket and riding pants be added to that as well.
Okay, let's talk about being on the road, shall we? Let's start with
Basic hand signals.
left turn, right turn, stop, single file, staggered formation, something on the ground to the right, something on the ground to the left to watch out for, slow down. You left your signal on, please clear it.
Remember to clear turn signals.
If your bike does not have auto-canceling signals, please pay special attention to making sure you clear them after each use. If left on, it can be very confusing to other members of the group as well as surrounding traffic. We set the ride order usually by height and size to avoid obstructing views. All riders need to be able to see hand signals and as far in each direction as possible. Smaller bikes up front and larger ones in the back. Newbie riders will be placed by the ride leader. We also ask riders to hold their position once we pull out to avoid unexpected problems with riders switching while moving.
Repeating hand signals for the riders behind you is very important for their safety and for the smooth flow of the bus. Please be sure to repeat all signals passed back to you, to riders behind you.
Now let's hit the road. In most situations, motorcyclists have 3 lanes within one traffic lane. The left side of the lane, the middle of the lane, and the right side of the lane. In a staggered formation scenario, the left side of the lane and the right side of the lane will be occupied by cyclists. In a single file scenario, the center of the lane will be occupied by the motorcyclists. Each motorcyclist has their own horizontal lane. That lane consists of approximately 1 foot in front of the bike to 1 foot behind the bike. No one should cross over into that horizontal lane while the group is moving. The standard and default formation that we will be using most of the time will be the staggered formation. Riders will occupy the far left of the lane and the far right of the lane, leaving approximately 2 seconds between each rider in the same lane, and 1 second between each rider from one lane to the next. Let's see how this actually looks on the road. It is very important, especially when on multiple lane roads, that the formation is kept very tight with the 1 second and 2 second spacing, because if you leave enough space for cagers to get in between, they will do it. For roads that are more narrow, we will be using the single file formation. This is where both lanes of riders will merge into the center lane to make one lane of riders with a 2 second spacing between each rider. This is the signal to indicate that we are going to single file, and this is how it looks on the road. Single file, going back to staggered, is indicated this way, And this is how that looks.
Please do not use your GPS if you happen to know the destination while riding with the group. The route design probably does not match any GPS direct route to the destination. It can be distracting to have your GPS giving you one direction while the ride leader in the bus signaling and going a different way. We ask that you just focus on the role that you will be playing on the bus and enjoying the ride.
Please stay back.
Even if you happen to know the route, it's never a good idea to roll in front of the ride leader. She or he may change direction or alter the route at any time for a variety of reasons.
When you hear the term group riding, what that means to most people is a number of individuals going to the same place and everyone is riding their own ride. We, however, ride together as one unit.
We ride as one, like a bus.
Everyone on the bus knows exactly what to do and when. No one gets caught off guard by someone else's unexpected actions. We don't get separated. And traffic typically respects us as one when we ride as one. With years of trial and error, we feel that this is the safest way to roll when you're rolling in numbers. Let's hop on the bus.
Riding pace.
Riding with the flow of traffic is going to be the safest position for a motorcyclist. Just as riding too fast can be dangerous, it can also be extremely dangerous to be riding too much slower than the flow of traffic. Directly from Maryland MVA, it is safest to drive at the same speed that most traffic is moving. In fact, traveling at a speed lower than other traffic encourages other vehicles to constantly pass you and increases the chances of a crash. Let's take a look at this hypothetical situation. Meet Susie. Susie's on her awesome brand new scooter, and Susie's got somewhere to go. Her scooter, with the throttle wide open, maxes out at about 40 miles per hour. But again, Susie has got somewhere to go, and she wants to go the fastest route possible for her to get to where she's going. So Susie decides to take her scooter up on the highway. Susie gets on the highway, merges into traffic, and she's got the throttle wide open, screaming down the road at 40 miles per hour. The posted speed limit in this scenario is 55. Now, assuming all other drivers are following the rules as they always do, let's just say the traffic flow is flowing at about 55, 56, 57, 54, somewhere in that ballpark. Susie is going about 15 miles per hour slower than the rest of the traffic. Motorcycles are already smaller than most other motor vehicles and therefore a lot harder to see than other motor vehicles.
That's putting themselves into a very dangerous situation.
The same holds true for a regular motorcyclist. A motorcyclist gets on the highway, the posted speed limit being 55 if it is, could be 65, could be 70. That motorcyclist is going 55 as it says, but the flow of traffic is going more like 70, 72, 75, so let's say an average of 71. Well, that motorcyclist is still going 15 miles per hour slower than the flow of traffic and putting themselves in a very dangerous situation.
Ride with the flow. If ever that flow is not comfortable for you, that is not a road you should be riding. Until you are comfortable, remove yourself from it as soon as possible. Keep an eye on the rider behind you.
When riding as one, you should always keep an eye out for the rider behind you. If that person happens to slow down or back off, you should also slow down and never let them out of your sight. The bus will not leave you. No rider gets left behind when you ride as one.
Lane changing.
We change lanes from the back of the group to the front of the group. We do it this way the majority of the time to avoid separation. When the signal is given by the ride leader and everyone repeats the signal on back, Sweeper Steve will look over into the next lane and find an open spot to get over into. Once Sweeper Steve gets over into that lane, the person directly in front of him, which will be the rider in the white shirt, will then check the lane and get over in front of Sweeper Steve. The same thing occurs with the next rider up in the blue shirt. They'll get over in front of that rider, and it continues that way on up the line until the ride leader is actually the last rider to get over. And it works well a majority of the time. Every now and then we'll get a courteous cager over in the lane that we're trying to get into, and they'll slow down and want to let us all over in front of them, and we simply wave them through and thank them for being nice, but we're trying to get behind them. So we'll wave that vehicle through and everyone will stay together by getting behind that car.
Cage directing.
There are times in the middle of lane changing that a cager needs some direction for clarity. If signals have been given and you know what we are trying to accomplish, if the ride leader appears to be signaling a speed up or move forward type of motion, that signal is probably meant for a cager that is not clearing the lane for us. That signal is not meant for riders on the bus. Please try to be situational aware and consider whether that signal is for you or a cager in the way.
When we come up to stops, we will line up 2 abreast. That is the only time that anyone should enter into anyone else's horizontal lane when we are on the road. As soon as we pull off from a stop, we will then fan right back out into a staggered formation or single file if we were already in a single file formation.
Proceed through stops together.
We ride like a bus. When the driver of the bus goes, the back of the bus follows and everyone in between. Even at 4-way stops, traffic usually respects us as one when we ride as one. So when the ride leader pulls off, plan to pull off as well. Keep your brakes covered and head on a swivel and be ready to stop. If some cager isn't respecting that, we are obviously a group attempting to stay together as one. Remember, you are still responsible for your own personal safety and you need to do and be prepared to do whatever is necessary to keep yourself safe.
Roundabouts.
The same individual caution and separation rules apply here.
Please do not run lights.
Please do not run any lights. Try to decide as early as possible if you are going to continue through a yellow light or not. You want to give riders behind you enough time to make the same decision.
If you get separated by a light,
If we get separated by a light or other situation, just continue straight ahead or in the direction that you saw the riders in front of you go before you got stopped. The bus will pull over at the next safest area to wait for delayed riders. As those riders come along, the waiting riders will pull out in front of them for the group to rejoin and continue on. Always look for direction from the ride leader, bus driver, in special, less obvious situations.
parking.
When parking, we try to park together and in order. When pulling into a parking lot or parking area, your ride leader typically will look for a space where the whole bus can fit together. Parking together helps in a number of ways. If there is anything to discuss, everyone is in the same area to get the information. Parking in the riding order we've been in helps us get back out quickly without rearranging bikes before we can pull out. Displaying organization to others gets respect. Business owners appreciate it, as do others. If we're taking pictures, no one gets missed because we're all in the same area. If parking spaces are limited where we are, out of respect for others trying to find parking as well, we have put up to 5 bikes in one parking space. So, when we pull in, you should always plan to park in that manner to allow others to join you in that space.
Share the road. Cyclists, joggers, and walkers. We are to them what tractor trailers are to us. They feel that whoosh when we pass them. So, we give them as wide a berth as possible. We will even cross the double yellow line if there is no oncoming traffic to give them maximum space. Please follow your ride leader's lead on this, as well as your best judgment when it is your turn to pass.
Out of respect for others and the businesses that we visit, after you've pumped your gas, please move your bike away from the pump to the area where we are lining up for departure. Then go inside for whatever else you may need. We always clear the pump after gassing up.
Phobias.
If you have a phobia of any kind, it's best to have that discussion with your ride leader in advance.
These rides can take us on a number of different roadways. Please have that discussion prior to getting into that situation.
Bridges, tunnels, high-altitude areas, tight quarters, night riding, highways alongside large trucks, at highway speeds, mountainous twisted roads with drop-offs on the sides, like those dragons, snakes, and the like.
What to do if you have an emergency of some sort and need to stop? If possible, signal and pull off to the side of the road or in a parking lot. Anyone behind someone who does this should follow them and stay with them. We don't wave and ride by to keep up with the group. They may need help. The rider who was in front of that rider should quickly notice the situation, slow down and pull over. This should work as a chain reaction up the line until it gets to the ride leader. The leader will then turn the remaining group around and go back to where the emergency situation is staged. Assessment and assistance will happen from there. No one will get left. Because of this rule, it is important that bus departures are discussed in advance so we all expect your departure and will not follow you. We always take a moment to quickly discuss departures at our last stop before departures are likely to begin. In the event of an accident, get yourself to a safe place first. Do not attempt to offer assistance of any kind until you and your bike are in a safe place and out of the way. Do not fixate your vision on any situation. You can look at it after you walk back to it to assist. Do not stop until you are in a safe place for you and others to do so. We don't need a second incident added to the first because riders are eyeballing and not getting themselves to a safe place out of the way. And first best help is always traffic control. Make sure that other vehicles know there is a scene there so that they don't run into it.
Swag, when available.
Keep your skills sharp by practicing as often as you can and taking advanced training classes because this is a perishable skill.
We arrange group training events as well as parking lot practice sessions throughout the year.
Ease out on the clutch, over gas, on the brake.
Skilled riders make for better and safer group rides.
Please remain courteous at all times to your fellow riders as well as workers and patrons of any business, anywhere we may stop. You are representing this group as well as bikers as a whole. Let's make sure we keep cagers and business owners thinking good thoughts about bikers.